So the crack in Fido's Courtyard was brilliant. Loads of people, loads of American people, who basically just repetitively came down to vacation in San Pedro and scuba dive, and everybody just kind of knew everybody. It was a great social area. Dave was having a couple of rums, and he started to get merry and giddy, and it was great to see Dave just let go. Dave was in his environment, like I said before. Dave was gravity. Dave was just like the pull of the Earth's gravity. He was just, everybody knew him, and you know, David had done so many things in the military and had travelled to like so many countries, and he'd seen a lot of shit as well, like, you know, and he carried that stuff inside. But you know, he was gravity, and Dave was automatically the centre of attention with people. And he was very knowledgeable and he was very educated, but he just made people laugh. Dave would tell jokes, and he would embellish little stories, and you know, and people loved him, and I loved him. And that Christmas day just was phenomenal. Gary landed down with Tamara. She was loud and brash and just really just over opinionated. She was probably the first belligerent feminaziist man-hater that I had ever met. You know, she just downed on all men. She was just, you know, I've met Dutch people before, really nice Dutch people, but nobody like her. And I remember her coming over, and she started slapping me on the head like the little, like Benny Hill would do to the little ball guy in his series, and I fucking pushed her hand away. And I fucking told her, I says, you slap me again, I said, I'm gonna fucking smack you in the teeth. And she kind of reeled back, and people around her were shocked, you know. And I says, how the fuck would you like if I just come and slap you in the fucking head? And she tried to, you know, basically laugh it off. Oh, I'm only joking and stuff. And I says, if I was doing that to you, I said, that would be assault. I says, but you think that you can fucking do it to me and get away with it, and it's a big fucking laugh. Now, this was in the 90s. This wasn't now, when all these women are, you know, all feminists and feminazis and just all this type of stuff. This is back in the 90s when this stuff was basically, you know, unheard of, and I'd never encountered it before. And Gary didn't say nothing to me, but he was a bit shocked, and I just fucking turned around and I just says, Gary, I said, if you know, if control your pet, controller, you know what I mean? And he was all cold, you know, there's no need to be that way. And I says, fuck off, I get a life. So Gary and I didn't see eye to eye in that one, and there was a couple of other American women who took my side and said that was quite uncouth. So she basically fucking started spoiling everything, and her and Gary left. And of course she was drunk and loud, and you know, blowing smoke in people's faces, you know, taking a big drag of a stick, blowing people's faces, and she thought it was absolutely hilarious. Until some American girl wigged her by the hair. She blew smoke in this girl's face, and she told the girl, you know, American girl says, don't do that again, there's going to be consequences. And of course Tamara did it again. The girl just grabbed her by the hair and pulled her down and pushed her on the floor. And of course she gets up and starts shouting and stuff, and she was asked promptly to leave. So the atmosphere was spoiled a little bit, and then of course Dave kicked off again, telling his jokes and stuff, and it was almost forgotten about immediately. Gary didn't speak to me for a couple of weeks after that, which kind of didn't bother me, because sometimes they say that you know who your real friends are when shit happens. Anyway, but everybody was talking about diving. You know, they were saying how good it was to be down in Belize again. Some people hadn't been there for a couple of years, but they always went to the same hotels. They always went to the same dive shops, you know, because they had that friendship formed and the bond formed with the people who work there. So yeah, it was brilliant. Not long into just sitting and having a bit of crack, Patojo, Sabbath, Gutsy, and this Freddy guy walked in, and then you could have just cut the atmosphere with an axe, basically. And nobody seemed to like them. These guys were apparently like the local gangland fucking militia type shit, you know. They were bullies. They were all bullies, and you know, people's atmosphere, even the local people, just couldn't, you know, were taken a bit back and stuff because they weren't often seen down there. I personally think that Patojo came looking for me and David, and well, I wasn't going to disappoint him. If he wanted to have a crack at the title, I was all for it, because I just wasn't going to take it. I didn't drink. I wasn't drinking. So I was very sober, and I just immediately kind of tensed up. It wasn't any trouble that I wanted, because the police in Belize didn't take any shit. They would just arrest you and put you in a tiny shit-stained, piss-stained cell and give you a good kicking. And I was to find that out later on, a couple of years later down the line as well. But anyway, the guys, Patrol and the guys came up to the bar, they ordered some drinks, and they just sat down, and they just basically all turned around, like you would see in some Western, and just started staring at people. And so Dave looked at me, I kind of looked at Dave, and Dave, you know, like Dave wasn't, you know, scared of anybody, knew that he wasn't in a fit state to fight. So they says, come on, we'll go to Ramon's, and Dave and I excused ourselves, and we went up to Ramon's, and no sooner than a couple of minutes out, then these guys followed us up the beach, and started shouting after us and stuff, and we kind of just, Dave just kind of told me just to walk on and not to, it would have been 4 against 1, because they wouldn't have been able to do anything. So we just kind of walked on. I was raging at myself for walking off, because I felt like I was a coward. And anyway, we walked up, and we got up to Ramon's, and they didn't come into Ramon's because Ramon's had security. They had security guards. So we basically sat in Ramon's for a little bit and met Marlon again, the divers, and met a couple of other guys, and we just chilled out and stuff. But Dave's demeanor and his mood changed. It went dark, and I could see that he kind of regretted, you know, just having a few drinks, because Dave just would have, we just would have stopped on the beach, and you know, fireworks would have started. So, but he did the right thing. So that part of the day was kind of spoiled, but we had the next day to look forward to, which was Boxing Day, because we had a bunch more divers. And so when we got back up to Dave's house, went and had a coffee with Dave. Dave was clearly troubled by that, and I just says, look, Dave, fuck it, you know, I says, it's gonna have to come to the point where we just confront these guys and just get it going. And I said, if you're up for that, I said, then I think that it's just something that we need to do. And you know, Dave was determined to basically resolve that and just get that put to bed at some point. So Dave was ready for a nap. I took the keys, went down to the dive center. Sorry, I went down to Dave's dive boat, and I had a check over the boat, and I didn't realize that at some point over the couple of days beforehand, somebody had got into the water, and where the propeller is at the back, there's a small pin, and it's kind of shaped like this, like an R, and it's called a cotter pin, and it holds the propeller on. And somebody had taken out the cotter pin, and somebody had stole the 2 propellers from Dave's from Dave's 2 engines on the boat. So those propellers were about 150 US each. They were stainless steel. They weren't aluminium, and they had to be ordered from the States. Luckily, Dave kept spares, old aluminium ones that had been re-welded and refixed, but they would have done the job. And Dave's 2 engines were lifted out of the water, not kept in the water at the time, and that's how I noticed it. But what I didn't notice was whoever had done that had got down into the water and had drilled small holes into David's hull, and so the boat was slowly filling with water. So I noticed when I got on the boat that the boat was very heavy, and it was very flip-flopping from side to side, and I seen the water start to splodge up. So I picked up the part of the plank and looked at it, and it was full of water. So I immediately just turned it in and turned the pump on, and then the pump started to get all the water out of the boat, started to empty the boat with water. While that was happening, I ran up to Dave's house and told him what had happened, and then Dave came down. He was fucking ripping. So he came down and looked at the boat,